And we are live.
The NBA Draft Lottery. It's finally here. A realistic shot. Knock on wood. Cross my fingers that the Hornets get the number one pick. It's the Wemby episode, baby. A Hive Live edition. Welcome to Locked On Hornets.
We're Locked On Hornets, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
In a minute, cuz we live.
I cannot wait to get silly on this Hive Live edition. Welcome to YouTube. Welcome to Locked On Hornets. Thank you for listening anywhere you get your podcast and making us your first listen. We're free and available anywhere you get your pods. That is Doug Branson. He's decked out in the Hornets gear. The good luck charms are out and about. Doug Branson, find his work, everyhornetsboxscore.com. You can listen to me on Sports Radio 92.7 WFNZ on Wes and Walker every weekday from 12 to 3 p.m. I've asked you a couple times, Doug. You can tell me about your NBA Jam shirt.
Yep.
Jam. You can do all of that. I also want to know, how are you feeling? How are you feeling, Doug?
I'm feeling bon. I'm bon. I'm muy bon. Oh, wait, that's mixing the languages there. I'm feeling great. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling awesome. I'm feeling nervous. I'm feeling super nervous. I'm sweating. I've got the meat sweats. This should not have been taco night. I made a big mistake. I do have some Mrs. Smith's cookies. I've got coffee ready to go. I've got my old school NASA logo coffee mug. I'm ready to launch, baby. I'm ready to launch this Hornets team into a new era. I've got my NBA Jam shirt, but this is not just an NBA Jam shirt, folks. This is the shirt that I wore that I purposefully selected the night that my baby was born. So this is a special shirt.
That is monumental.
It brings great things, and I just want everyone to know that if the Hornets get the 8th pick, I didn't say any of this. Forget this, baby. If you're watching this many years from now, this is not the shirt. Don't worry. Everything's fine.
Yeah, 100%. Now, one thing, I didn't know what shirt to wear. I have so many different Charlotte Hornets shirts that have been given to me in the past. So today on WFNZ, I brought so many good luck charms for everybody to wear. My co-host, Wes Bryant, my producer, Josh Fitty Marlowe. So I brought the Hornets hard hat, the construction hat that they gave out a couple of years ago. I got the bucket hat. Fitty rocks that. You can see that in the background over what is my right shoulder, over what I think you're looking at left. So the bucket hat was there. I got the Steve Martin button, so maybe I just bring that on. I got the Buzz City fanny pack. And I was trying to bring all the positive vibes on 92.7 FM. Even the little winter hat. Here, I'll move my head for a second. You see that over there? Boom. Background. Yep. We were wearing all of that. Is there something that I need to bring to the table here? Should I bring any other good luck charm? Like anything? I've got Larry Johnson bobblehead with him being the former number 1 overall pick. I've got all the bobbleheads. Anything that you can think of, Doug, that I need to go look at?
I think we're covered, man. And the best good luck charm we have are all the sickos out there on the chat right now. We've got some topos to give out. Stefan saying topo. It's what we say when we go live. Colin saying topo the draft, as in the Hornets might be topo the draft in just a moment. So topo to everyone out there. Michael saying I'll definitely be stoked for 1 through 3. So Michael, does that mean you're not stoked for 4? Because honestly, you know, with all of the history of the Hornets falling in the draft, I'm not going to be stoked for 4, but I'll be okay with 4. So I don't know how you're feeling about 4. Mason saying, give me Wemby or give me death. That's a little extreme, but he's sick
a
enough.
Sicko. But he's sick, though. He's sick in the head.
I'm telling you, the Hornets make us sick. They make us sick in the head, man. It's crazy. Andrew with a go Bugs, rocking the rally cap all day. Tyler saying, is the Dodge Hornet commercial a sign from the basketball gods? Man, I meant to bring that up when the Super Bowl happened, that the Hornet commercial, the Dodge commercial. There's some good bitage there. I need to bring some of that out. Hey, we got a message, not we, but fans got a message from Mark Williams, who is the on-camera representative for the Charlotte Hornets at the draft. You want to hear what Mark Williams has to say?
Let's hear from Mark Williams and see what he has to say during his presence at the lottery.
Looking good. I like these glasses. I'm just going to say that off the top.
What's up, Hornets fans? Mark Williams here. Just got to the lottery, and I'm feeling good tonight.
There you go. Mark Williams.
That's short and simple. Feeling good. That's all I want.
Well, that's that's him, man. It's short. He's not short, but it's simple. He makes good moves at the basket, catches the basketball every time, unlike Bismack Biyombo. Just makes good moves. But he's feeling good. That's good. I like that he had to announce who he was. Hey, I'm Mark Williams.
What's up, Hornets fans? Mark Williams here. Just got to the lottery, and I'm feeling good tonight.
I'm pretty sure we know who Mark Williams is, but thank you.
Can we discuss how Mark Williams, we've talked about this before, sneaky swag. Remember when David Walker was down close to the court and Mark was not playing because of the injury, but he had a pretty sweet denim jacket. Mark Williams with the swag, he brought it again today during the lottery. We're about 13 minutes out, according to the ESPN ticker, right? So 13:04, 03, 02 when counting before the reveal is in. And we will keep you updated on everything happening all across the way, hoping that the Hornets get that number 1 overall selection. You said you were feeling good. You want to answer a sicko satchel question before we move on and talk about some other things regarding this draft lottery. Do you want to do that, Doug?
Well, one thing, Michael, following up on his chat, said he'll take 4, so he's okay with 4, but he's getting the Cody Zeller vibes from the 4 pick. And I get that, but hey, Cody Zeller getting some important minutes in a playoff series, maybe an Eastern Conference finals piece. So
also Cody Zeller, weirdly the right pick, given all the context in that draft, which is something that's weird. He was the right pick. So anyways, we're not here to talk about Cody Zeller. We're here to talk about centers of the future and power forwards of the future. Doug, if you want, why don't you go ahead and hit the intro for the sicko satchel, and then we can go to the first question that we have in the pre-lottery sicko satchel.
You got it.
Come on, you shameful little sickos.
Doug, I'm not going to get over that one, to be honest with you. It's very weird. It's really weird. Okay, let's go to this one from Aaron. I don't know if we've gotten to this one, but we'll ask it again because I think it's a good one. Aaron asked Doug, with or without Wemby, will the Hornets still make the playoffs with the same squad as this season with everyone staying healthy? #YouSicko. And let me add this just for a little wrinkle into the question. So let's say he says with or without Wemby, right? What is your answer with Wemby on the roster? And what's your answer if it's anybody 2 through 4, 5, 6, Scoot, and anybody that you revealed on your big board in the last episode?
Yeah, so we're assuming here that they bring Miles Bridges back. Are we assuming that they also bring back PJ Washington? Is this the full
Yeah, I
deck,
think that's a
full
safe
Monty?
assumption. I think that's a safe assumption. I think that if you don't have to, whatever you want to go with.
If everyone stays healthy with Wemby, I think absolutely. Without Wemby, I think there's a really good chance. I mean, you look at that period right before the All-Star break and maybe a week and a half, 2 weeks after the All-Star break, the Hornets looked like they had put some things together with Steve Clifford. So I'm not going to doubt that. Like, I saw a good team. You had to really squint. You had to get the magnifying glass out to really find it. But there is a good team in there. And if you're going to be adding talent to that roster, I think they absolutely have a shot. Now, do I think that they're going to be a lock for like a 6 seed and they have to avoid the play-in? No. I think they'll probably be involved in the play-in. But I think they do have a shot at sniffing the postseason next season, even if they don't get Wemby. I believe that.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, the Eastern Conference is tough. I think Wemby really helps you out. Well, of course, that's some analysis for you. I think Wemby helps you get there, obviously a lot closer than some of the other players that you would have, and to the point where I think there would be that kind of line for me. I think with the Hornets, with everybody healthy, with Victor Wembanyama, with everyone staying healthy, I think that they have a real shot to get that top 6 spot. I think that would be, maybe it would be a little overblown to have that as an expectation, but I don't think it would be crazy to say, okay, maybe they get there, because the idea is that LaMelo's staying healthy. The idea is that Mark Williams would get better at the center spot. Hopefully everybody can get an off season together too, right? Like, you would learn how to play amongst one another and then put the best product out on the floor. Bryce McGowan's, JT Thor, they still have some young dudes. And if you think that internal improvement is still a thing that this organization has done pretty well, at least in order for some of these second-round picks and other younger players to get to their second contract and make some money off of it, yeah, I think with Victor Wembanyama especially, I think that would be something that is within the realm of possibility.
they will not lack motivation. That's what I would say. I mean, if you just look top of the roster to bottom, it's going to be filled with guys who are going to be looking to prove someone. Maybe the only person in this scenario that we've cooked up that wouldn't necessarily have that would be PJ Washington, because he would have just secured, that contract. But still, he's a guy generally that has a really good work ethic, comes in and proves something every year, and probably would want to prove to himself that he was worth, the investment. So I'm not necessarily doubting PJ there. I'm just saying everybody else would have a lot to prove. And I think, look, LaMelo is tired of losing, and that's going to just sort of leak through the entire team, I think. So, I would be confident that they would at least make a play-in for sure.
All right, let's give a first thanks to Birddogs, a new sponsor. This Hive Live episode is actually brought to you by Birddogs. The thing about Birddogs is they have a great fit, they're comfortable, and they're extremely versatile. You can look better and feel great wearing Birddogs. Their stretchy fabric makes legs look fantastic. Doug, I know you've been working on it.
I'm wearing
some Birddogs, right?
Look,
Yeah.
I'm gonna model them.
Yeah.
I'm wearing them right
He's
now.
getting crazy. Look at those Birddogs. Doug is bird dogging it. Don't lift the shirt up any higher. That's perfect.
All right.
There. Yeah, you can look at Doug's butt and also just know that your butt can look as good as Doug's if
they
you wear
fit
some
great.
Birddogs.
Seriously, they fit great. I love these. They gave us a pair. Full disclosure, got a little freebie action. But I'm not kidding. These they instantly gave me the best pair of shorts I own.
All right, that's excellent. So there you go. Doug's got them. I don't think I got mine yet. I might have to look. Maybe I didn't get them. I don't know. But I do know that they give you the freedom to really wear the pair of shorts on the golf course, to a meeting, on a date, hanging out with friends. Again, this is the whole versatile part about the Birddogs here. Go to birddogs.com/LockedOnNBA, and when you enter promo code LockedOnNBA, they'll throw in a free custom Birddogs Yeti-style tumbler with every single order. Big shout to Birddogs. I've been laughing at some of the comments here, so usually I have to ask you while you're laughing. You're gonna have that question for me a few times. Somebody, Queen City Hornets, said Walker Mail with the quote, "Wemby can help you out 100." Yeah, that was some analysis that I decided to drop. You only get that here on Locked On Hornets. Somebody also gave us an iconic duo between you and giving Hornets fans false hope. Name a more iconic duo.
Well,
I love it.
I'll say this, that Nada, our friend Nada, is out there trying to balance the force. He is the yang to my yin.
That's what he is. Yeah.
He is out there on Twitter trying to put cold water on everyone. And so we're balancing each other out. Everybody has their place in this universe. And mine is to hype things up because, look, I'm sicko and I feed on the hope. YOLO saying, "Dad bod Doug Branson." No shame in my game, friendo. You got to pack on the pounds if you got to carry a baby around all the time. And I'm like a hibernating bear, too. You don't get a lot of sleep. So, you really want to pack as much energy as possible, to deal with the fact that you're not having a lot of sleep. But if you need any tips, let me know.
I'm sorry. Did producer Katie hear you say you pack on the pounds when you carry a baby around all the time?
No, you need to. You need. It's called building strength. Okay. And some people like to hit the gym. Okay. I like to hit the Mrs. Smith's cookies.
Over grandma style cookies.
Or Mrs. Fields. I don't know. Anyway, Wemby #1.
Speaking of Wemby #1, Scott Evans had one a while ago. I liked it. He said, "If we don't draft someone who can dunk with his elbows while riding on a baguette, then I'm out." Yes, Scott. What a great comment there in the YouTube section of the YouTube comment section, I should say. Let's go to another one real quickly. Here's one just about if it doesn't work out and they don't get Victor Wembanyama. Mason Fine asked this to you, Doug. Are the Thompson twins overrated? I didn't watch Overtime Elite, so I'm not sure how much skill they actually played against. I think a lot of people are probably feeling a lot like Mason Fine writing that question in, but I know you like both the Thompson twins. I know you like Amen Thompson quite a bit.
Well, skill is the question mark. Okay, it's athleticism that jumps off the screen, especially when it comes to Amen. Like, you watch that guy run, jump, it's amazing. Like, it does look different than what you're used to seeing from really anyone. College, G League Ignite, Overtime Elite. The questions that they're going to have to answer at the combine when they're scrimmaging against some of these college players is, do they have enough skill, to actually hang against guys that are playing a little bit smarter and have seen some different things that maybe these like best high school players in the country that play for Overtime Elite haven't seen. So those are going to be the big questions. But you really, I mean, when you and Osar as well. Like, I mean, he's got not as much athleticism, but he still can jump out of the gym too. Those guys are crazy. Like I think Amin especially is gonna make a team very, very happy. But I like some guys that already have the package a little bit put together more, like Cam Whitmore, like Brandon Miller. Before I get to an Amin, especially for a team in the Hornets that's desperate to win now. I think Amin and Asur would be better suited on a team like San Antonio, like Detroit, like Houston, that's got some time to season them.
We also got Cody Daly writing in. Why aren't either of y'all at the draft representing the organization? It's a great question.
That's a great question.
We decided Mark would be the guy that I guess is just a little bit better. Riot wrote in, I'm afraid Mitch might trade Wemby for 87 second-round picks in 2029. It's a legitimate concern. We are sickos here. That is the theme, and it's a legitimate concern. Scrolling. I'm doing the scrolling now. Scrolling.
I'm trying to watch ESPN. Like, are they going to get to this thing or what? When is this thing starting?
So we have a 2.5 minute countdown right now. Immediately, 2.5. I think they're going to get after those minutes tick off the clock. That's when the reveal is going to come in, as far as my understanding goes. So just a little over 2 minutes to go, and then we'll get some of the results that are coming in the lottery. Brandon Miller thoughts is what Mark Schneis. I like that. Mark Schneis wrote in Brandon Miller thoughts. Yeah, I think the thing that maybe had us not go with Miller number 3, Doug, it's the lack of athleticism, and we might change the big board as we get closer to the NBA draft. But I like Cam Whitmore. I also like the passing ability from Whitmore too. That's why I had him 3. I know you had him 3 as well. Am I speaking for you in a wrong way about Brandon Miller? What are your thoughts on it?
You're right on the athleticism piece, but I would also add in there, there's a lot of questions about his handle. About his ability to actually put the ball on the floor and make something happen. And so you're not worried about that if you're drafting him to be like an incredible shooter, which he is, and a difference maker on the defensive end, which I think he can be. And you're going to be super happy with that guy as like your number 2 option, okay? I think what my problem with drafting him at 3 is I think there is a guy in Cam Whitmore that has the potential to be a number 1 option, and I would rather draft that guy than Brandon Miller at 3. But if you get him at 4, you're super elated. Brandon Miller is a special player, but we're talking about the margin between second option, first option, and that's why I slid down just slightly on my board, on my personal, Hornets board.
I've seen the ESPN coverage this entire time, and it seems like they have now also gone with Brandon Miller being the second best prospect in this draft while moving Scoot Henderson to number 3.
It's a mistake.
It is a mistake. I don't know, man. I like Brandon Miller, what he did, for sure. I mean, he was a great player at Alabama. This is not, moving him down to 3 is not some indictment about him not being a good basketball player.
Win a championship.
Or moving down to 4.
What happened to him in the tournament?
Yeah, no, it wasn't great. But with Scoot, this guy is crazy strong. The athleticism not waning there. He does have a tight handle.
Oh, what's up, Brandon Roy?
I heard. Oh, you're looking at the ESPN. I thought he was in the chat. I thought Brandon Roy was watching us live. That was great. You're actually a little ahead of me. But anyways, all that to say, Scoot should be the number 2 prospect. Now, here's another question. There's Mark Williams.
He made the rep for the Rockets. That's awkward. That's so awkward.
All right. So here's the question that a lot of people will sometimes do if they want to talk about the game on the phone. Do you want to pause your feed, or do you want to beat me to the actual result? Because it looks like you're a little ahead of me right now. So I don't know how you want to roll with this, Doug. What's your thought process?
I'll beat you to the result. I will be the newsbreaker on here. I will communicate the results to the folks. We've got some results, I think, being put on the podium. I'm shaking. Look at my hand right now.
That guy is too. That guy with all of the envelopes and the cards, he was shaking. I saw his elbows going like this.
Oh, there he is. There he is.
That is a robot.
Another Tatum about to put a 50 burger. on these lottery teams.
Oh, there's Mark Tatum. Oh, you tell us good news. You deputy commissioner, you. Come on, Mark.
14
All right,
Pelicans.
This is it. So the results
14
are in.
Pelicans. That's we expected that.
Oh, okay, so you're way ahead of me. All right, I'm just not going to say anything. You're really going to break this to me.
13
in
Raptors.
Advance. Okay. I'm not going to lie. This is not great with you breaking it to me, but it's also fine.
No surprises yet. OKC gets the 12th pick.
All right.
Next
it doesn't get
be...
real. Doesn't get real until we get to 7. Like 8, that would be the all-time worst scenario. But we got to get to 7 and then past 6, of course, before it gets
all right,
really,
no crazy
really
surprises. We want to see number 10. We want to see a Dallas here. We do see a
Jamal
Dallas.
Mosley
Okay.
looked...
All right, everything's looking good. We don't get any of those crazy odds teams popping up into the top 4.
Oh, that actually is good. You're right. It does start pretty immediately. Oh, Dallas keeps their pick too, right? Because I was trying to think what it was supposed to happen.
All right,
if,
Utah Jazz. Everything so far,
do.
14 through 9, is holding.
It's a big deal.
I'm getting short of breath here. 8
Nobody
is
seems to be
Washington.
happy.
Everything's holding. The nightmare scenario is now gone. The Charlotte Hornets are not picking 8.
Yeah, that was the 100% nightmare scenario. Everybody looks
7
so
Pacers.
angry.
No one has jumped up yet. 6. These are the if it's going to be anything, it's going to be 6 because the Hornets had a 25% chance at 6. 6 stays with the Magic. Okay, no changes yet. The shortest odds for the Hornets, I think, were the 5th pick. It was like 7%.
Oh, Doug, I'm bothered. Now I'm hot. I'm all of it.
Okay, now Detroit has fallen to 5, meaning Portland has jumped into the top 4. The Hornets are in the top 4.
All right. Whew, buddy. Okay, come on. Tell me something good, Doug. Tell me something good. You are the breaking news
the chat
guy.
people who have that, they're going to take a break. Oh, my God. They're going to American Idol us right now? They're going to American. Where's Ryan Seacrest?
No. This is totally fine.
Oh, my gosh. I got to be careful
totally
here.
fine,
I got to be careful not to get us banned from
happen.
YouTube. I'm so angry right now.
So this is what needed to happen. This is I didn't know if it was the top 3 or the top 4 because I thought we might need to make it to the break. Okay. So let's go over some of the things. You were right.
I'm going to nervous eat. I'm going to nervous eat these cookies while you recap us.
If you eat these cookies while Wemby's name is announced or the Hornets are announced number 1, then we need to seek these cookies out and they need to be a sponsor.
Well, what would be funny? What would be funny
here
is if I have cookie in my teeth during the reaction, and that's what's going to be on like the National Locked On NBA show. That would be funny.
So just to let you know, the nightmare scenario was 8. There was a 2.2% chance of that happening. It didn't. The 7th overall selection was the Charlotte Hornets. They had a 16.8% chance of that happening. It did not. 25.7% chance of them picking 6. So really getting past 6, that was a big old hurdle for Charlotte to leap. They did not select 5th, 7.2% chance of that happening. And now here we are, right? There was always going to be basically a 45% chance of the Hornets picking in the top 4. And pretty much a 55% chance of them picking 5 through 8. So they made it already to the 45% shot. Just to go over it once again, the Hornets have an 11.5% shot of picking 4th, an 11.9% shot of picking 3, a 12.2% shot.
I gotta block out the chat.
2.
I think the chat's gonna be ahead of us. I'm gonna block chat. I'm sorry, sickos. I'm gonna have to block you out to make sure that I get this reveal fresh and live. I gotta just maybe even. I'm just gonna close the tab. I don't want to be.
Last but not least, a 12.5% shot of picking number 1 overall. So those are all the scenarios.
How about Detroit, who did? Let me just say this: Detroit did the most shameless tanking last season. They threw out some lineups that were just disgusting. Now, there were other teams that got penalized for tanking right at the end, like Dallas. Who were just. They were blatant about it, but blatant at the end of the season. Detroit was doing it all year. I don't know how Detroit doesn't get punished for throwing out some of these ridiculous lineups. Guys resting all over the place. Still managed to beat the Hornets a couple of times. But they fall out. That's karma for beating the Hornets.
So just continuing to break this down. 1, you get either one of Victor, Scoot, Brandon Miller or Cam Whitmore now. Like, you've got one of those guys locked in, Doug. Already, can we call this a victory already, or is that negative space and you want to keep hoping out for number one?
I'm gonna be okay with 4. Like I'm resigned to 4. So if it's 4, you're gonna see me go, okay, all right, yeah. Now 3, I'm gonna go. If they get 3, I'm gonna be like, all right. 2, I'm gonna go,
yeah.
And 1,
Keep your clothes on. Keep your clothes on.
I'm gonna wait.
I'm
not gonna reveal how I'm gonna react.
Bird Dogs on. They're comfortable. Keep them on.
I'll say this. My baby is sleeping right now, so I have to keep that in mind. So I might have to pantomime.
No, wait.
I might have to add it in post. I'll add it in post. I'll add my screams of joy in post, but you'll see me pantomime run around this room. We'll see what happens. But yeah, I think this is good. You don't fall. I think that was the real fear amongst all Hornets fans was we were going to see this team fall once more. Right now, things are holding. The Hornets were injured all last season. They shouldn't be here right now. Like, this team wasn't going to make the playoffs last season. There's no doubt in my mind about that. But this team did not need to be did not need to have the 4th best odds. Just looking at the talent that they had on the team, but because of injuries, they're here, and the basketball gods have at least smiled upon them somewhat.
I'm having an all-time sitcom moment. Okay, the TV was loading. It was loading for a long time. An all-time moment of maybe me not, although I'm getting it spoiled by you on the broadcast anyway, but at the same time, I really wanted to see it come in.
We should mention Victor Wembanyama watching right now from Paris, but he is not at the lottery in Chicago because his team is gearing up for the playoffs. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
That's what kind of warrior he is. Right. Well, I hope he's a Hornet, not a warrior, but that's what kind of warrior we're talking about. A guy that says, look, I'm about to go and be a bajillionaire in the NBA. Forget it. I've got some playoffs to take care of. I know what's important in my life. Next game.
Oh, Mark looks ready. Everybody else looks scared. Mark looks like
Detroit,
Brandon Roy
Houston,
doesn't know what to do.
San Antonio, Charlotte, 4th pick. The Houston Rockets. Oh my God. It is not the Hornets have a top 3 pick. The 3rd pick. The Portland Trailblazers. No way. Top 2? The Charlotte Hornets get the 2nd pick. So close. So close. San Antonio, once again. Tim Duncan. Are you kidding me? I mean, Coach Pop is going to coach for 1,000 years. But hold on. Let's get the reaction here. 2nd overall pick for the Charlotte Hornets. That is super, super exciting because you are going to get a special player. People have been talking about this draft a while now. And they've said, look, in any other year, a lot of smart people who pay attention to this stuff have said in any other year, Scoot Henderson would be a number 1 overall pick. Now, I don't care what ESPN is saying about Brandon Miller. I'm telling you, Scoot Henderson should be the pick at number 2. And the Hornets have improved their draft position, and they have a top 2 pick in a special draft. If you can't get excited about that, then you're not a sicko, because the sicko's got to get excited about this. How you feeling?
I'm in a straitjacket laughing in a room full of cushions.
We're scooting. We're going scooting. Walker, we are going scooting, baby. I'm so excited.
Can I tell you, I'm sorry. I need to tell you my experience through this entire day. I had put on a brave face for the people. When you do a daily show in Charlotte, when you do a daily podcast on the Hornets, you need to live in some kind of fantasy land to become sane, so you don't become the person that wears the straitjacket in the cushion room. Now, I want to say, you and I both have talked a lot about how fun it's going to be with Scoot Henderson. But, Doug, there was a very real moment that everyone got to see, and it was a genuine reaction of there being a very realistic shot, a 50-50 shot of the Hornets getting LeBron James, of the Hornets getting Hakeem Olajuwon, Anthony Davis, the floor. There was a very real shot at the Hornets getting that guy, and I watched it pass by, and I had talked myself into being prepared for this. I like Scoot a lot. This is a big deal, but it was about to be the biggest deal, and so you got to see my raw emotion. Now, I like Scoot. Okay, I like Scoot. All right, we're getting ourselves back together. That was a doozy. I'm still kind of in fetal position in my brain right now. So do with what you will, Doug.
I understand. I saw for that brief moment, and this is how time dilation works. In that brief moment, I saw a future of constant ESPN coverage of Brian Windhorse getting a penthouse at the View in Uptown Charlotte. But here's the thing. With the 2 pick, if it's Scoot and they go scooting, I think that still means, here's what I think it still means. It still means national TV games because people are going to be interested in Scoot and Wemby. They were interested in Scoot and Wemby when it was G League Ignite versus the Metropolitans. Okay. That was on, NBA TV. They were putting those games up because people are interested in seeing these two guys go at each other. I don't think that goes away. There will be some national TV games. I think there might even be a Christmas game. Like if the NBA is super smart about this, they're going to put Scoot and Wemby one-on-one on Christmas. And the other thing is Scoot's a very talented player. I get it. I saw the future. I can't believe it went to San Antonio. That might be the most disappointing part. Like Houston, Portland, I would be more okay with. The fact that it's going to San Antonio that already got the incredible luck with, Tim Duncan and that whole era. They've already had their, small market move to national prominence. The fact that they get it again, it hurts. I'm going to be honest, it hurts.
Look, if Hornets fans are mad at me for not embracing a Scoot, or look, man, I mean, Brandon Miller's in very real play. Here they are showing Jonathan Givony's top 5, which can be wrong, by the way, and it was last year. But they're showing Brandon Miller being the second prospect, and it's not his mock draft. I don't want to say that, in some kind of absolute. But I will say this from a content creation standpoint, there's more than just one thing to talk about, right? Like you do have Scoot, you have Brandon. Maybe if Cam Whitmore can climb the ladder enough, then maybe that would be somebody that you discuss. I don't know if there's any kind of I don't know what you want to do. I like Scoot Henderson a lot, Doug. You and I both have been a huge fan of him. And so this is me just kind of getting over Wemby in the purple and teal in my brain. But you're right about everything you said about LaMelo Ball's potential backcourt mate or his potential swingman that'll be thrown to in Brandon Miller. Because I do think both of those guys are probably going to go 2 and 3. Maybe Whitmore jumps in there, but I think that's probably what you expect. Brandon Miller, Scoot Henderson.
I think a couple of things you have to take into account in terms of context. If you haven't been tuning into this team for a while, it's that this backcourt pairing of LaMelo Ball and Terry Rozier, it doesn't work. It's not going to work for a team that really wants to make the playoffs. The other piece of context is that the Hornets, I think, are desperate, and I mean desperate, for a number 1 scoring option. Scoot, if Scoot's the pick, that's going to immediately shuffle the backcourt. Then you go and figure out, all right, is Terry Rozier 6th man, or is he somebody that we got to figure out ways to shop? By the way, Terry Rozier's name came up in Phoenix Suns trade rumors, so it's not completely out of the question that you can move that contract. Phoenix is trying to move on from Chris Paul. Maybe you can find a way to make it all work, okay? The other thing is Scoot is going to be a number 1 scoring option in the mold of prime Russell Westbrook, of prime Derrick Rose, of prime John Wall. Okay,
he is really good, man. He's awesome. You're right. You are right. Scoot Henderson is awesome.
But it's not just about talent. It's about what's going on upstairs, and it's about what's going on in his heart. I want to read you a quote. This is from an interview he did with Tim Reynolds from the AP. This is a quote from Scoot Henderson. "There might be a team that might need a leader, need somebody who can talk, somebody who can communicate on the floor," Henderson said. "I think I can make a big difference," unquote. Scoot wants to be that dude. And guess what? The Hornets have LaMelo Ball, and he is a fantastic facilitator. He has a potential to be an all-NBA player, but Scoot Henderson can come here and be that dude if the Hornets are smart enough to take him with the number 2 pick.
You know what? Yeah, let's end on that. I think, it's funny. I've come full circle, right? I'm here. I'm looking at Twitter timelines Tell us what you're thinking in the YouTube comment section. It seems like we are now in some kind of positive space where, like, yeah, you're so right about that. Like when you think of star potential, somebody that can get it done, so many people will gravitate away from the small guard as being the number one guy. Steph Curry bucked that trend, but he's also the best shooter of all time. There is some of that. I will say, you talk about so much fun, highlight package type of stuff between LaMelo Ball and Scoot Henderson. Both of those guys being in the backcourt, I think they complement each other so well. You go tall, thin frame with Melo. You go freaking running back, linebacker, somebody that is willing to play with a huge physicality. And I do want to get one thing straight about the G League competition. It amazes me how so many people will downplay the G League competition, Doug, and say that Division I college basketball is so much better. When, as much as I grew up on college basketball, it being my favorite sport for a long time, how in the world do you have D1 college players going to the G League, trying to make it to the NBA, guys that were awesome in college basketball, that be the next stepping stone? Hell, we're talking about NBA teams sending players down that they draft to the G League in order to get ready for the NBA. So let's get it out of our heads, if this is one of you that actually thinks the G League is worse competition or that you shouldn't draft players from that pool. That just absolutely makes no sense. And so if that was something you were worried about with Scoot being in a Hornet uniform, don't worry about it. This guy does have a lot of star potential, to your point.
I just want to get everyone prepared, though, for what's going to happen over the next several weeks. There is going to be, because there's no debate about the number one overall pick, there is going to be so much smoke about this second pick. And I'm not just talking about Scoot versus Brandon. You're going to hear, Cam Whitmore suddenly in play for 2. You're going to hear, they really like these overtime elite guys. Watch out, Thompson twins. I mean, there's going to be so much smoke, but I want everyone to stay clear-eyed about, Scoot. We're scooting. I think that's going to be the pick. I'm going to believe it until it's not the pick. And I absolutely go into the fetal position if the Hornets somehow botch this, because this is a 2-person draft. And I still do believe that Cam Whitmore has the ability to be a number one option for a team. But, it's a question mark. I don't think it's a huge question mark for me, but it's a question mark. With Scoot, there's no question. And I don't care about the height. He's 6'2". I get it. There will be some issues, I think, with that, but nothing that's going to really damage his ability to become one of the stars in this league. You can feel disappointed that because you felt that moment where it was possible that they could get Wemby, that's fine. You can be disappointed, but understand this was a good night for the Charlotte Hornets because they didn't go down. They moved up. They not only moved up, so often I feel like, Walker, even when they've gone down, I feel like the Hornets draft in the tier, if it's a 7-person draft, they draft 8. If it's a 10-person draft, they draft 11. I was really kind of waiting for them to get 3 because I think it's a 2-person draft for them to get 3. But the fact that they got into the top 2, and this really is two guys, it's one guy, but then a 1A in Scoot. This is exciting.
Yeah. No, it's huge. It's huge. So, all right, everybody go watch Scoot Henderson highlights. And we'll see. I mean, it is going to feel weird to just, we want Scoot, Doug, but it's not some foregone conclusion. It's actually not. And so, maybe watch Brandon Miller highlights too. Just get ready for that. You had something else to say before we ended it today?
No, go ahead and end it with your final thoughts. And then for the live show, we'll wrap a bow on that and put that up on the feed for everyone who didn't get a chance to watch this live for the live show, because you've got to scoot to do some stuff for Locked On NBA for the national show. I would like to, because we haven't done a lot of comment question taking, so I want to stay around, hang out with my sickos for just a few more minutes on this very, very exciting night for the Charlotte Hornets. It's not as exciting as it could be, but it's pretty dang exciting.
So I will say the live show brought a very real reaction. Yeah, I was so there, man. Like it almost happened.
Gosh, I felt it.
It was so crazy.
I saw my life completely changing. And I think I think good things are ahead, but I think if we're being real, it's not, Scoot's going to be pretty amazing, but it's not going to be the same as Wemby.
My phone is blowing up. There's so many people throwing expletives, also happy. It's going crazy. Here's what I'll say. You saw for the moment. I thought we thought we were going to get him, but I do want to say, if you go back through the Charlotte Hornets NBA draft history and you compare what Scoot Henderson could be to everybody else that they drafted, right? You got LaMelo, you got Lucky. He is our asset. He is the guy that is we called him Laneo Ball, right? He's the chosen one. You have another one. There's another Neo still.
Another
too.
one.
Yes, there is. It is. You talk about Matrix Reloaded with Cam Whitmore because he reminds you of Sean Marion. How about Scoot being Matrix Reloaded because it's the second coming of Neo? So we have both of these guys, right? They're in the backcourt together. I think both of them can lead Charlotte to a place that they have not been before, with a lot of other caveats, a lot of other disclaimers. Everybody's got to be happy. Mitch Kupchak has to do his job. If there's a new GM, that GM has to do their job. New ownership, Michael Jordan, whoever's at the helm, they all have to do their job with all those caveats, right? But if the idea is to build around your two star players, hopefully, in Scoot Henderson and LaMelo, with Mark Williams being that center, that is a trio, Doug, I feel very, very good about. When we see Bobby Marks come up with the futures rankings, all of a sudden they're going to be making that jump after Bobby Marks put them quite far down. This is a win.
My baby boy Bobby, you better do the right thing, baby boy Bobby, and put us up there.
It's a great.
I want him scooting all the way to the top. Well, not the top.
Yeah,
I guess it's going to be San Antonio now. But I
all
want him
right.
scooting all the way to 2.
Eric Collins is going to have a field day. You're going to hear Boot, Scoot, and Boogie on every single Charlotte Hornet affiliated show there is. There's going to be a lot to look forward to. So, Doug, I will let you take the people to wherever you want to take them. And I'm going to be on with Nick Carboni, by the way. If you're in Charlotte, watch WCNC. And we'll also, I'm sure, post that on social media. And so, Doug, take it away, man. It's been fun. We got Scoot. Overall, good night. Appreciate everybody.
See you, buddy. Yeah, I'm going to stay on here with the chat, drop it into the full frame here. Ooh, you get to see a little bit more of my studio setup. What's going on, man? Let's talk this through. Vapor Fox 25. What's going on? Topo, welcome to the chat. I don't know if I've seen you here before. If I have, I'm sorry, but welcome to the chat. Doug Raphael, the big board, Locked On big board expert, says he doesn't see Melo and Scoot playing together, both being primary ball handlers. What is your counter argument? My counter argument, I'll let Scoot make the counter argument. He was asked about this too. Like, can he see himself in a lineup with another guard that needs the ball in his hands a lot? And his answer was 2 guard lineups can work in the NBA. I mean, they didn't win a championship, but it had a lot of playoff success. Portland, the team that was in the top 4 with the Charlotte Hornets, Damian Lillard, CJ McCollum. I mean, 2 guys that needed the ball in their hands a lot to make things happen, and it worked. The Hornets, I could see that argument, okay, on a team that had a ton of other scoring options. And then it's like, all right, one basketball kind of thing. But think about how many times last season, and I know they were injured a lot, but think about how many times last season the ball found its way to a player in the corner and you went, uh-oh. Or think about this. How many times when they did get injured was the ball in Terry Rozier's hands or Kelly Oubre's hands and you thought, uh-oh, like this is not great. So no, I don't buy that argument at all. I think they're going to work perfectly together because one guy is going to look to facilitate and one guy is going to look to score. They're going to offset because Scoot, you need to do a little bit more deeper film study to say this definitively, but I don't think people are screaming about Scoot's ability to play make for others. I think it's probably in his game somewhat, but he's not going to look to facilitate for others a lot. And I don't think you want him to. I think you want him head down, going to the rim, making it happen. And LaMelo stretches the floor. Okay, Scoot shooting, not like I think his shooting will improve, but I don't. It's not like Thompson twin level bad. Okay. But he's not an elite shooter. LaMelo Ball is an elite shooter. I think these guys actually perfectly, with all due respect to my guy Raphael, I think these guys perfectly complement each other. And I think when you hear stuff like that, you have to wonder, okay, Charlotte is, you hear everybody, all these national guys making jokes about how irrelevant Charlotte is. Well, they're irrelevant for a reason, because these national guys don't watch them the way we sickos watch them night after night. We watch all 82 games because we're sick in the head. And that's why you come to a local show like Locked On Hornets, because we can give you the in-depth analysis and say, yes, these two guys can work. Milo Banks saying, what's your starting five with this new Scoot pick? Well, I think it gets interesting now because we talked about it before the lottery got kicked off. What would happen with the PJ signing if they got Wemby? And I really had questions about whether they would move forward with a future with PJ if they were going to have to find ways to play Wemby and Mark together. Now you don't have to worry about that. Scoot fits perfectly into the two-guard position alongside LaMelo Ball. It still is a little bit interesting. Do they eventually re-sign Miles Bridges? All signs point to yes. And I think if they're going to sign him, I think they're going to sign him with the intention to start him. That was always the intention before the felony domestic violence charges. They wanted to sign him to a max contract. I don't think it's going to be a max contract, but I think they were signing him to a contract to start him and to feature him on this roster. And I don't see that changing if they do decide to pursue that. So he would slot in, I think, at 3. And then it's going to be question mark on, Gordon Hayward. Is he still a member of this roster? This offseason suddenly got very, very interesting because you just put yourself into a position. It doesn't matter who you draft. If you draft Scoot at 2, if you draft Brandon Miller at 2, if you just get crazy and draft Cam Whitmore at 2. You're drafting a guy number 2 overall, you've got to play that guy. You've got to play that guy significant minutes, especially in a draft that everybody says, hey, this is one of the more talented drafts in NBA history. You got to play that guy. So it's going to have ripple effects on your roster. So top 5 or starting 5, I'm going to go LaMelo, Scoot, Miles, PJ, and then Mark. I mean, I think that's if they re-sign PJ, if they decide to go that route, I think that's it. But here's the other wrinkle that you can throw into this, okay? Hornets get a top 2 pick that I think a lot of people have been saying, hey, if it's Scoot, that guy's the number 1 overall pick in any other draft. Does the franchise suddenly think, okay, we've got something here. Let's get a little bit more aggressive in the free agent market. Or in the trade market, and let's see if we can make something happen here at power forward and let PJ go and upgrade that position. I think anything goes at this point, right? And a lot of these questions about who starts, I think are so premature because your offseason just got shaken to its core. And I wouldn't say that if they got the number 4 pick, okay? Amen Thompson, respect. Cam Whitmore, respect. But your franchise is not changing on the 4 pick. I think this franchise just changed. I think it did. I think it changed on this 2 pick. Boo Man saying, imagine if Cliff doesn't start Scoot. It's not happening. I mean, Scoot's starting. That guy's coming into the league to dominate. That's the thing that I was going to mention it to Walker, but I knew he had to go. And we're going to be talking a lot about Scoot over the next couple of weeks. So trust me, he'll get this take thrown in his face. Everything I read about Wemby is that super hard worker, wants this more than anything. You're not going to have any problems with him in terms of motivation, and you want to. There's no questions about that, okay? So I don't want what I'm about to say to be some slight towards Wemby. But Scoot has been digging and grinding for weeks upon weeks upon months, and all he's heard is Wemby, Wemby, Wemby. Wemby's the number 1, Scoot's the number 2, and now you got little birdies chirping that Brandon Miller could hop him and go to Scoot. So if Scoot's the pick, that's a big if. We don't know. A lot could happen. But if Scoot's the pick, okay, talk about a chip on a guy's shoulder. And everything you read about this guy is that he just is super motivated, wants to be that guy. If the alpha dog thing actually exists, this guy would be the prototype, okay? So to have him come in and want to have that one-on-one match. He embraced those matchups that were featured by the NBA of Scoot versus Wemby. He embraced those and he attacked in those games if you go back and watch those games. So, like, I think the Hornets, if they make the pick and it's Scoot, are getting an absolute treat. And we'll go through this process. I think it's going to be a lot of smoke and mirrors. Hungry for Brussels. Can you imagine if the Hornets get a Christmas Day game and it's Scoot versus Wemby? Again, I'm going to say this, probably say it again when we next do a show. I understand if you're disappointed, because you could see it on our face. If you roll back the tape, you could sort of see us sink a little bit because the moment was sitting there available to us and it went to San Antonio. San Antonio is going to get all the love. They're going to be talking about how the franchise did it again. Pop's going to coach for 1,000 years, and they're going to suddenly turn things around. And, shout out to the Spurs. I think of the three teams that shamelessly tanked, I would say they did it in the most respectable way possible. I think Houston and Detroit really stood out. Detroit falling to 5. Brutal. But you know what? They got the number 1 pick a few years ago. So, hush Detroit. But anyway, so, feel disappointed for just a moment, but understand that, if the consensus develops around Brandon Miller, I'm sold on Scoot, but I've got my ears open. I'm willing to listen, if this whole thing turns around and we get into some combine stuff and some individual workout stuff and some questions pop up. But here's what I don't want the Hornets to do, and it's what Golden State did that allowed the Hornets to get LaMelo. Don't allow silly second guessing on a player prevent you from taking the most talented player. That's what Golden State did. Golden State could have LaMelo Ball right now, and they don't. And the reason is because of some interviews that went, I guess, slightly awry or whatever. I'm begging the Charlotte Hornets, don't overthink this. And I think that's going to be really, as we develop talking points and mottos and catchphrases leading up to the draft, that's really going to be what all of my analysis centers around. As Charlotte Hornets, don't overthink this. This was a 2-player draft. It's always been a 2-player draft. Brandon Miller, to me, did not show enough when it mattered in that tournament. And I know sometimes we overweight that, but I think we have to be careful not to underweight it as well. I think Scoot's got to be the pick. All right, let me look back in this chat. Skeleton saying a lot of teams hate Charlotte right now. Look, man, Charlotte jumped up to 2. Again, I mean, the Hornets don't jump spots. LaMelo was like this crazy, oh man, we jumped to 3, but to jump to 2, even from 4, I think is outstanding. The 25%, over 25% chance that they were going to land at 6. I was really expecting that 6 card to come up Hornets. I've just been too hurt. I'm too sick. And I didn't think it was going to be 2. I really didn't. Let's see. I like Cliff, but him and rookies don't mix. You're going to hear a lot of that. I think he plays rookies. Well, there's a couple of things. One, he's never had a number 2 pick other than MKG, and MKG couldn't shoot, and he played MKG. So, I mean, there's the evidence right there. I mean, he had MKG, he played MKG. He had Kemba. Kemba was a late lottery pick, earned his stripes year 1. Year 2, he got the keys. That's not going to be the thing with Scoot. Scoot's going to be a number 2 overall pick. He's going to get boosted into the starting lineup. You don't draft a guy number 2, and especially on a team that lost as many games as the Hornets. Context be damned, they lost a lot of games. You're going to play that guy. So I'm not worried about that. There's been, player development under Clifford as well as Borrego. Kemba being the shining example of that. You're not even going to have to do, you're not even have to do the transformational work that Clifford did, helping Kemba get to where Kemba was. You're not even going to have to work through all that with Scoot because his game's going to be a little bit more fully packaged right out of the gate. So not really buying that. Let's see. What can we get for Terry? Well, that's a great question. I mean, the contract is large, so I think teams are going to struggle with that, especially because they're going to look at the stats from this year, and they're going to hold. Here's the thing: even if teams understand the context and they understand the injuries, right, they're going to say, I don't know about that, and hold that against the Hornets, I think. So, Zach saying Terry to Dallas. Well, look, Dallas did not, their dreams didn't come true. They're going to be looking to compete next season. That could get really interesting. AD is disappointed that it's another short guard. And Deshaun saying, no, Scoot. Yeah, I mean, I think the 6'2" thing is going to bother a lot of people, and that's fine. I think when you study the game and you understand that it's possible, more than possible for guys who are 6'2", to have impactful careers, all NBA level careers in this league, a league that is, more and more becoming guard dominated. I don't think that's going to be a huge problem. Branson Jackson saying, please recommend someone besides Scoot. I won't do it. Cam Whitmore, Brandon Miller. I mean, look, I'm going to keep my ears open. We're going to find out. I mean, we're going to hear all kinds of stuff. We're going to dig deeper. We're going to talk to experts. That's what this podcast is all about. And, we'll make our recommendation. I think it's Scoot right now. I think it's probably going to be Scoot at the end, but we'll go through this process too. I don't think you can have anything figured out at this point. There's going to be a lot of talk at this number 2 pick. And I think the Hornets will do their evaluation. How much do you trust that? That's, the Hornets got it right with LaMelo, but LaMelo fell to them. I mean, I think that was a situation that felt a little bit like a no-brainer. Like, I think some people expected LaMelo to go number 1. They thought, man, for sure, number 2. And then when he fell to 3, it was like the Hornets, there wasn't really, I don't think, a serious consideration of anyone else at that position. So this is going to be one where, I think they will have a few options, and they've got to make sure that they don't botch it, because they're the first team. The number 1's already off the board. The Hornets are on the clock. Okay, Wemby's off the board. The Hornets really have the pressure pick at this point. They've got to get it right, because look, if Wemby comes into the league with all this hype and he doesn't live up to it, or he gets injured and, that stifles his career, no one's going to blame San Antonio for that. But if Scoot comes into the league and disappoints, or if Brandon Miller comes into the league as a number 2 pick and disappoints, people will blame the Hornets for that. They will not blame Brandon Miller for that. I think some situations the player gets blamed and some the team gets blamed. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact of the team that actually did the picking, more so than the context, the situation. Did something happen with the player? Did something happen with the team? I think people will blame the Hornets if they mess up this 2 pick. So a lot of pressure, super excited about it. I'm going to hop off. Thanks everyone for joining. Thanks to all the sickos out there. This has been incredible. The Hornets did move up. I'm going to be excited. We've got a lot more to dig in. This is going up on the feed for tomorrow, but Walker and I will be back together on Thursday for another show. Make sure to check out Walker's reaction on Locked On NBA. If you are tuning in for the first time, subscribe to the podcast. If you're listening, subscribe on YouTube, and you can see me earlier in the show showing off my Birddogs. And I'll just leave it at that. And if you are watching right now and you haven't subscribed to the podcast feed, it's super cool because you can listen to the audio when you're running or doing whatever. It's a great way to keep, we're on every day. So, sometimes you're not in a comfortable position where you can watch us on YouTube. So please go subscribe on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. Really appreciate it. Scootin'? We'll see. Thanks, everyone. Go Hornets. Go America.